Welcome back, YouTube. Jug here, and I'd like to introduce you to Raider World. This is a settlement I built in Fallout 4's most recent and final DLC, Nuka World. I built this settlement to look just like another park in Nuka World, but one that's been overrun by raiders. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the construction, as well as a few tips that may help you with your own settlement building. I'll be doing this on the PlayStation, so no mods are being used, but I will be using parts from all 6 DLCs, so if there's something that you're missing, that's probably why. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Before you can unlock the settlement, you're going to need to follow your quest line. It's going to start off with this one, all aboard, and it's just going to tell you to go to your radio station. In order to get to Nuka World, you're going to have to go way over here to the west. There's going to be a lot of fighting that you're going to have to do, and I suggest that you basically enjoy all of the content here before rushing off and just to build your settlement. There's a lot here that you can do. It's really entertaining. It's probably my favorite DLC that Fallout has released so far. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and get down to it. This is the Nuka-Cola bottling plant, and right next to it, right up here to the east, just a little bit, you see this is the Nuka World Red Rocket. This is the only settlement location that you can build on in the new DLC for Nuka World. And it is huge. There's an incredible field that you can build in out here. And it goes up as high as Abernathy did. I think I measured it out to be about 22 stories. So this is a big place. So I'm sure a lot of you, just like me, wanted to put a garage door on the garage door opening and was having this kind of trouble here. Of course, I've got the wire plugged in. That's probably not helping any, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And yeah, look at this side here. You can see right through there. That's probably not a big deal, but just in case you're wanting to get that a little bit snugger up against that, you can usually put down some floors or something like this, and it'll, just hold on to the end of it, just like that. Yeah, it'll go much closer than what you could normally get that at. Now if I plug this in and open it up here, let me get rid of these boards here first, or floors, I guess. Now if we look through here again, yeah, you can't see through there. Now this looks like a mess right now, I know, but this is important where I'm building right now because I'm trying to get this to where it's lined up with the statue that's on top of the gas station, and I'm pretty much just lining up these floors so that there's equal space on all 4 sides of this. That's going to allow me to build up a floor around this and exchange these wood floors for the foundation floors of some type. I think I'm actually going to use the warehouse floors, or the warehouse foundation floors. They don't actually say foundation pieces, they're just called floors, but they're just like the foundation found in wood floors. Here it is just measured out with wood floors, and here it is switched over to the foundation pieces, which are just called floors. And I'm going to just keep snapping these in place. We're going to put a bunch of these down so that, well, we're going to try and fill up the entire playing field. You can see here we've got a lot of progress on it right now. This does take a little while, but it's not as long as you might think. As long as you just go through here and start snapping pieces, it's pretty smooth. So yeah, I'm pretty much at my limit. I can't go any further. We're pretty much maxed out all the way around, and I might cut into it later on, but right now I'm just going to start working on the stairs, and I guess we can just call these steps for now. So you can see that I'm stacking these foundation pieces from the concrete section in the floors, which they're all called floors, but these actually have foundation on the bottom of them. And then these are just atrium floors that I'm using to stack these. And of course, if you make these steps at home, you're going to need to make sure that you put some carpets down or some mats or some kind of floor covering just like this underneath of the step, because these are pretty much just too tall for your feet to go over the edges very easily. You'll see here what I'm doing. I'm just pulling one of these atrium floors back, and I'm going to snap another atrium floor right on the front of it. Yeah, just like this. See that? Now, if I try and walk up this, it's going to be much easier to walk up this. Of course, something that might look better than those two smaller mats would be a large mat just like this. So if you end up building these steps at home, make sure you do this before. I'm simply just grabbing these atrium floors. The reason I wanted these atrium floors as the height of this step is because we needed to make these really steep. These aren't very friendly stairs. So you can see here I'm just lining these up. I'm going to put another floor piece right behind it once it's lined up here, just so we can move it. See there, just put the mat down and then put the floor piece right back on top of it, just like that. Now, if you use these as steps, you'll see that your feet go right up much smoother. Something I really liked about these concrete walls is how versatile they are. Of course, there's a few spots there that we can just cover up with whatever we wanted to put in front of them. We could also just, put some guns there where the spaces are to, shoot any attackers that are coming up the stairs later on. But right here, you see I'm taking these concrete walls and I'm building them all the way out this way so I can find a spot to snap these curves onto. And if the curve isn't exactly where you want to place it, I'm wanting to place it right here over top of where the telephone pole is, because I didn't have a foundation floor that was able to cover that space. So I'm going to use this right here. If I can find it. There it is. Of course, I'm going to have to place it correctly. Sometimes you got to move around a little bit. There we go. And once I have that in place, then I can place this other one and then build up around it just like that. If I want to go ahead and get one more, I'll go around the other side and put another one in. So I'm going to continue around the entire wall. You can see the front side looks pretty decent, but there's a lot more that we got to do around the corners here. So I'm going to actually bring these up one more level from the top. I'm going to do this on all these corners. And of course, these are much easier to snap into place if they already have the right block above them. And some of these, even though they don't look like you'd be able to make it fit, you can tell that this one actually, so I get lucky there. So you can see that most of the foundation here is done. We have the Nuka-Cola bottle right there in the center being a highlight piece for the park. And of course the entrance right there you just saw. And okay, so we've got these pillars here. The pillars are all built up around the outside of this foundation. Now there's a couple more things I wanted to change. I do want to take out some of these floor foundations and replace them with some of these concrete floors. I don't think that I actually keep these concrete floors. I think we end up exchanging these for something. I think that's the atrium floors I end up exchanging them for. So you'll see that change throughout the video. So what I'm using here is the scaffolding railing in order to block off these edges here around the Nuka-Cola bottle. Of course, I'm having some difficulty trying to place this piece right here, but with a little bit of patience and just moving around the piece a lot, you can usually just get it to go in places that you would never imagine that it would normally snap to. Now the way I created this entryway sign above the stairs is I used this glass wall from the warehouse walls. And you can see, well, okay, so that's the wrong one. I'm going to have to grab that one and flip it around here. There we go. And you'd see that I've done the same thing to the other side too. So I'm going to do is place the normal flat glass right in the center here. And then just to highlight this glass, I'm going to use this globe statue right here, which I'm sitting on some rugs or mats. And I'm just going to drag it right into the glass, just like this. Once it's lined up, anyways, that ought to be good. Let's just, right there. Okay. So if I hop down here and look at these mats, you can see that that's the only thing that's holding it up. But if I get rid of one, as long as it's stuck into another object, there's a good chance it's going to stop. See how that just stopped right there? It doesn't go all the way down. So it's still going to sit where I want it. And once I get rid of all of the rest of this, it should look pretty nice with that light inside of the globe. Now these aren't the lights that I stay with, but I do want to just connect some lighting in here so I can see what things look like when I step back. Now in order to get the glass on the front of these buildings to line up side by side the way I'm wanting them to, I need to move these foundations out of the way a little bit. Just slide them over 1/2 step. Then once the glass is in place, I can slide these back to where I want them. Now you can see I'm just making room right now. So yeah, once that's down, I can move that glass over. I guess I can just put a marker here for this one so I can put it back later. Get rid of that one. Move this foundation up and then place another piece of glass on this foundation. Right there we go. Okay, so there's a little gap there. I got to move these back. So I'm going to have to clear this out just a little bit and grab the small concrete. These little pillar walls here. These are really good for moving things in different directions if you're just going to move it, just one block over or something like that. So see how I just move them back, and then I can put these all right back in their original position. Go ahead and get this other curved piece, and it lines up perfectly just like that. Now you've seen me make the atrium steps, and these are very similar. I'm just making them out of wood floors. These wood floors are from the warehouses, and it's important to remember that the warehouse floors are just a tiny bit bigger than the normal floors. Well, at least the small floors. If you look at the small wood floors and the small wood floor from the warehouses, you'll see that the warehouses are just a little bit bigger. And I would prefer to work with the warehouse floors. Even though they're a little bit picky on which way they face, you seem to be able to work with them a little bit better. Right now you see I'm just exchanging these floors and replacing them with these foundation pieces here, so I can get a nice stairway going up the sides here. Again, anytime you need to move one of these concrete blocks, see there, all you got to do is just pop down a couple of those small pillars and move it over. I do something similar here. You see that I just put these half walls, and then I'm going to put these small pillars right behind there, just to line it up with the glass right there. I'm going to do the same thing here to the other side. And now I can snap the curves right to these little pillars. Building like this allows me to get a nice three-dimensional effect to the building. And of course, if I keep going with it, I can get something that looks a little bit like this. So I've replaced some of these warehouse foundations with these supports. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these foundation pieces here, just so I've got room to drop these supports down a little bit, because I want them to sink into the ground some. If I want to move these over, I can just move the stairs, and you can see that you've got 3 levels that you can snap that to on the sides there. Of course, these pieces don't always like to snap into place. I'm having a lot better luck with it than I was having earlier. If I go ahead and get rid of that and fill in this hole here with more concrete foundations. Well, these are the warehouse floors. I'm also going to want a wall around it. So if I just jump up like that and grab it and bring it right back down to the ground, it'll go straight down. And then if I want to move it up against the wall, a little closer here, I'll just snap those up like that. Now before I go all the way around, let's go down below and show you some of the insides of this. I've placed these poles. These are just spiked poles that come from the Raider set, and I've placed them on these mats, or these floor coverings. And that's just so I can stick these inside of the supports. So I've got one here. I'm just going to set this to the side for now and go ahead and take a look at it from the top here. You can see this is what it looks like once all the supports are in and all the poles are going through the supports up to the top where there's a screen, and these line up nicely with the screen as well. So I'll go ahead and fill in these walls. So I'm sure you can tell by now that what I'm building here is a bumper car pit. And, well, the most important part about that is going to be, of course, the bumper cars. So I can't place them right here where I want them because these poles are getting in the way. But I'm just going to set these on the side here. I want to get 3 blue ones and 3 red ones. And then I'm going to go grab some mats. You can use any kind of mat you want, but I'm using the black ones here. I just need 6 of these. And then I'm going to stick the car on top of the mat, pick up the mat, and then just drag it over top of the pole, just so it lines up with that back end there. And I'm going to do the same thing to all these cars until, it looks like a bumper car pit. Now up top here, I use these bumper cars just as a decoration along the top. You can see that I'm pulling that out so you can take a look at it there. One thing I thought was important for a Raider base was to have a good arena. Now, right here I'm sticking this Deathclaw cage, and I've got it set on some carpets here, and I've pushed it into the concrete, so it'll kind of set submerged into this concrete, so it looks kind of encased rather than just setting out in the open. Now I really liked that white against the bottom there, and I wanted it to go all the way around the pit. So I went ahead and tore out some of this pit and replaced it with some white foundations underneath so it would be two-tone. Now there's not a lot going on with the building behind the Nuka-Cola bottle right now, except for these steps. So I'm going to just take a step back and show you these steps real quick. I'm using these small stairways that come from the warehouse set. And then I'm just going to fill in these sides here after I drop a small floor. And if I just jump up here and grab it while I'm up in the air, it'll go straight down with me. And then I can go ahead and get rid of this around the rim here. Now if I just take those small wood floors now and put a concrete wall next to it. You can use any concrete wall that'll snap. Now I'll put one on the other side. And then put one more right behind it. This is going to be the step factor here. So see how I've just pushed that back? Now I can move the small wood floor back one concrete wall back further. I know it's confusing, but If you just watch what I'm doing here, you'll see that steps really is not that difficult to make. One thing I knew about this building is that it needed to be large. It doesn't need to be the highest building that you can build. I don't need a 22-story skyscraper, but I did want some kind of an ominous effect as you're coming up the steps to Raider World. I wanted to be able to, to see this building hanging out in the background. And so I think it accomplishes that goal. I do change this building a couple times in the future, so this is not the final model that we stick with. Now this other building is the one that's going to be to the left of the Nuka Cola bottle. And this is just kind of a loopty building. I started off really crazy, and I wanted to put this light, I don't know if I'd call it a light bar, but it's certainly a bunch of neon letters that go around the rim of the outside. And I wanted it to kind of look like this. The problem is that the frame rates were an issue. Once I got this far with it, I noticed that I was not going to be able to complete the entire building this way. So this is where I decided to finish with this building. I liked the way those ridges looked on the wall, and to highlight those with the pillars on the side, I think it just worked out really well. And of course, those gaps where I was going to have the light bar, I'm going to have to bring those walls back down and fill that in. But let's move on to the sidewalk area for now. One of the advantages of having this entire ground level built out of foundation is that we can change the level at any height that we want it, giving it some depth, giving it more of a three-dimensional effect throughout the park. Of course, this is where I'm changing the flooring into the atrium floor. I go ahead and do that around the entire place. And over here at the arena area, you can hear the Death Claw he's bouncing around in there. He don't like being in his cage. I'm going to go ahead and stick these stools all the way around. Well, at least on both sides here. You can see that I've got them on the left and the right. And that's going to be just before I go ahead and fill in the roof to this as well. So in order to get these roofing pieces to snap, you got to use these walls. And I think that I actually move these in later on. And of course, we're going to need a control booth if we're going to be able to open these cages. So I've put one right back here. Now, in order to build anything this big, you're going to have to take advantage of a small glitch that you drop a bunch of guns on the ground and then essentially just switch to your build menu and then store them all back into your workshop. Now, if you're unsure of how that works, I'll leave a link in the description below to that spot of one of my videos that should be able to help you with that. Now you can see right here, this is pretty much the finished work of the bumper cars. This is what it looks like when it's lit up, and I think it looks really good. I like that that titanium white that is kind of cast over the stone. Now this is the outside of the bumper cars. It's all lit up. We've got some neon letters all over the place to just give it some color. Of course, those buildings in the background are lit and trimmed out, so they don't just look like black shades. So that light bar that right there you can see on this building, that had to go. It looked good for a little while, but it was really hurting the frame rates, and you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So I went ahead and unplugged that, and I was able to leave most of these lights on this building. Everything looked pretty good on that. Something surprised me when, all these settlers, well, I guess they're not settlers, but they all seem to like to stay above ground up here. I was worried that they were all going to be going, spawning down underneath of this. And some do. And there's plenty of space down underneath where they can spawn. But a lot of them do actually spawn up top where the foundation flooring is. Now, I captured this again because I liked the way the lighting was here. This looked a lot better. And, that dusk feel. It's not too dark, but it's just dark enough that all the lights will really show through. Of course, this is the headquarters building way in the back there. And of course, this is the arena that I wanted to work on for some time. So you can hear the Deathclaw in the background. He is pounding at his door. He's trying to get out. We're going to let him out. Let's go check this out. Let's see how well Sir Pounce actually does against Mega Deathclaw right here. I'm going to have to go over here to the control booth and open this up and let him out. And hopefully it's a good fight, but we'll find out. Okay, so that didn't turn out so well. Sir Pounce clearly just ran straight to the corner here, and apparently he's invincible. So the Deathclaw is trying to hack him down, but he's really not even phasing Sir Pounce. Sir Pounce actually just waited until the Deathclaw just couldn't take it anymore. So, yeah, apparently the cat is invulnerable. Now the spotlights up top on these buildings here really gave me a way to add light as well as some movement, make it look like things are going on over here. And I really like the effect that it gave off. Of course, these buildings here are just fillers. I've just placed them around the sides of the building, and of course these buildings here are also just there to fill up some of the spots, just to make it look a little bit more fuller. Now, most of the electrical wiring and all the connectors, they're all tucked underneath these concrete floors. You don't have to hide them. I hid them just because I didn't want wires all over the place. But, that really makes it good for these light posts right here, because these light posts don't require any kind of connection. They'll actually just turn on as long as they're close to a connector. This is a little bit of a view to the left here. And now something that's really good about building up like this is that you've got so much room underneath. Now that, I can fill all of this in with pretty much anything I want. Of course, right here we've got a few exhibits that I put in here. Something I really wanted to put in was an arcade. I felt it was necessary to show you an arcade because there was so many arcade pieces. So right here we have a Nuka arcade, which is, I guess, called the Nuka-cade. The ticket machines work. We can put them right here into these games and play to our heart's content. It figures I would miss the first shot, doesn't it? At least I redeemed myself. So these lights, I couldn't have asked for them to fit any better. They really worked well. I placed them down on the ground and then put the floor on top of them, and they just happened to line up. And then the ceiling up here, that's something else that I really like the way it worked out. You know, I've got two different types of foundations here. I've got the shack foundations and the warehouse foundations. And it just gave off a really nice stripe effect along the ceiling. And this is the Nuka Cade, pretty well filled in. It's got some neon lights, a little bit of a, I guess, a disco light way in the back there just for the effect. Lighting was tricky in this place. In fact, later on I go through here and put quite a few more lights in here just to fill it in and light it up a little bit. Well, there you have it, Raider World. I hope you liked my settlement. I hope you liked the video. If any of this has helped you out in your own settlement building at home, you know, hit that like button. It helps me out. I hope I helped you out, and I guess I'll see you next time. Welcome back, YouTube. Jug here, and I'd like to introduce you to Raider World. Raider World.